So, I don't know if you're aware, but we live in a pretty big country. The U.S.'s total land area is 3,537,441 square miles. The Rocky Mountain states alone make up 30% of the continental U.S., and its inhabitants make up the majority of that unreached 15%. Wyoming is one such underserved area, due in part by the fact that it's roughly 3.4 people per square mile. So, in the strictest sense of Obama's plan, a service provider would have to run out hundreds of miles of cable to reach 4 people. People who might not even want it. The PEW Research Center compiled some information regarding the potential broadband market and determined that although there was an increase in lower middle income families in broadband use, the adoption rate was flat amongst the poor and African Americans. Included in this potential broadband market was also the obvious non-internet users, which make up 27% of adult Americans. These non-internet users tend to have a lower income and are relatively older with a median age of 61. In a recent survey, non-internet users were asked what it would take to get them to subscribe to broadband or just use the internet in general. The most popular reasoning for not subscribing was namely that there was a lack of availability in their area, cost in general, and roughly half of those surveyed said they had absolutely no interest in the internet and would not use it, period. But what about jobs? The Connected Nation study estimates the U.S. would gain $92 billion in new wages from the 2.4 million jobs created through broadband growth. Okay, so how did they figure? Well, in 2004, a test was performed in Kentucky, which was one of the lowest ranked states for broadband adoption, with only 60% of the population having access to broadband. By 2007, 95% of the state had access to broadband. As a result of this growth in broadband access, which put them around the top in the country, multiple businesses set up shop in the horse racing state, including Geek Squad, which made Kentucky their national headquarters. Aside from the jobs, the average resident of Kentucky saved more than $200 per person, and they drove 100 fewer hours per month because of transactions done online. Obama and his staff have taken notice of this scenario, such that they model certain aspects of the bill by the Kentucky experiment, with the intention of trying to replicate the successes in Kentucky on a broader national level. Connected Nation believes that a 7% increase in broadband adoption would create 2.4 million jobs across the U.S., would save $662 million in healthcare costs, and would save $6.4 billion in vehicle mileage, with an annual impact of $134 billion, enough to pay off the stimulus in itself. That sounds awesome. So how do we get 7%? Well, first off, we throw a lot of money at it. $7.2 billion of the stimulus package has been given to the broadband cause, the largest such government-funded disbursement ever.